Okay, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing well today. Shout out to all the subscribers and big up to anybody new locked in. Today we're going to be talking about AJ's recent interview that I've just watched several times just to really get a hold of it. You know, he's hard to read sometimes, but sometimes like he just sounds very confused. But essentially, I quite like where he's going with this. You know, I think I really think I understand what he's going for, you know, in terms of like he's trying to get more cerebral and trying to be more intelligent in the ring, and understands that is gonna, you know, give you a better opportunity to win fights. Boxing is mental, like depending on who you are, 75 to 85% mental. And you know, he's got tremendous attributes already. You know, he doesn't need to be fighting everybody, and that's not sustainable. Nor is it, you know, you have to have wrinkles and you have to add strings to your bow. And you know, his IQ, I think, could be there with developed. See, this is one of the things about IQ. This is just my opinion as well. You know, you can have your own, of course, but I think when you have attributes like speed, okay, they're given to you, power, you know, athleticism, all these attributes that you can once you have them, yeah, you can improve them, of course you can, but there's a limit to them, right? I don't think there's really a limit to IQ. I'm sure there is, but what I'm saying is that IQ can be tremendously improved over time, tremendously. And it's the most important thing in a fight. I think if you take somebody with power over somebody with IQ, I would take the IQ all day long. You know, if you have IQ, you know how to diffuse the power. So what good is power if you can't land it? But with the IQ, you're 3-4 steps ahead of someone, knowing what punch they're going to throw before they throw it. That's the power of IQ. So I think AJ's looking to, well, I'm assuming Derrick James is pushing for that as well. And if one of the things that I found most interesting was his seemingly admission to basically Derrick James is basically in control. Okay, that's what I got from this. You know, he's constantly like basically asking permission at times. I forget the exact clip. Maybe I'll leave it on here just to show you exactly what I'm talking about.
And if I decide, or my coach decides to change his mind, I feel I'm subject and I'm able to change my mind, right? So I'm able to fight in July or August if I want. So right now, it's off the table, but we are subject to change, provided my coach says, and he's happy with what he sees.
But there are points where he refers to, and it seemed to me like Derrick James was in control. I made a video a few months about this, suggesting that, and shout out to the guy that left the comment saying, well, think about this, if Derrick James can, I think he used the word mind control Jermell Charlo, when he's basically got Jermell Charlo, who's a very brash character. You know, you would think, you know, I love watching Jermell Charlo fight, and he's definitely calmed down a little bit, but that's probably due to Derrick James. You know, I think he almost seems like he'd be very hard to coach, Jermell Charlo, but what Derrick James is able to do and what he's done, and that gentleman that put that, you know, mind controlled him a little bit. I think he's going to have to do the same with AJ. You know, given AJ's superstardom, I think he's actually, and fair play to AJ if he is doing this, because it must take a tremendous amount. I'm sure his ego's been dented. Man, I'm trying to get this. Apologies if this looks a bit wonky. I come in and I'm realizing that it's like not level, and I'm like. Anyway, yeah, he's shows a lot of character to do that. Really, to basically say, okay, I'm yours, coach. Give me what I need to learn, and I respect that, and I think he's slowly doing that, and I think that's what they're aiming for. Obviously, is he wants to be a box fighter. Really, he wants to add bows to his string, or strings to his bow, and develop that IQ. And like I said, that can be done. But once, like, I think the pennies dropped a little bit, where, you know, after spending 24 rounds with probably the most, if not one of the most cerebral fighters in Alexander Usyk, and really, you know, when you I'm assuming when you fight at that level, and you really get a taste for intelligence and IQ and how to manage fights and stuff like that, he would have learned a tremendous amount from that. And I think I was looking through his box rec, thinking to myself, okay, so from the start, because the weird quote is like, I'm not an aggressive fighter when all we knew AJ to do was just run through everybody and knock everybody out. Okay, and now if you think about it, when you have a talent like him, and he is a talent, he was learning on the job, he still is learning on the job, but he got rushed through the system by Hearn, but AJ can be programmable, right? He's very programmable. He needs to be told what to do. He really needs to be guided. And when you bring him into that zone, I'm sure Eddie Hearn was hyping him up to like knock people out, and that was, creating a massive buzz. So then that was his go-to. And when he was favored against everybody, when you look through AJ's resume, as good as it is, he was basically favored to beat everybody, whether it be a slight favor or not, maybe outside of Klitschko, and obviously definitely not Usyk, but I think the first fight was pretty even. Maybe he might have even been the slight favorite then, but all the other fights, even Dillian White, he was probably slightly favored to beat him, and all the others that he was favored to beat these guys. Joseph Parker, Takam, Povetkin, all good names on there, but when you look at that, you think, okay, AJ should get through this just based on his ability and what he'd done at that time and who he was. But he never had time to develop his IQ because his identity was just knocking people out. And then he found out, I guess, the hard way in a tough fight against Klitschko, which can do a lot more damage than people realize psychologically. When you take he did take a bit of a beating, he got dropped, he was badly hurt, and a tremendous comeback. That was a tougher fight than probably, well, maybe not than people predicted, because I thought Klitschko, I thought it was going to go 12 rounds in a close fight and Klitschko would just nick it, but nonetheless, what I'm saying, I think that might have been the and then the Ruiz was the straw that broke the camel's back. Hence why he, even the Pulev fight, he was very cagey in that fight. But he boxed a nice fight and got the win. And then obviously he boxed against Usyk. But I think the fighting ability for him was there, and it's the psychological damage is still there from the beatings that I say beatings. Ruiz really put a beating on him, and Klitschko did a bit, but I think he's slowly coming around to actually the IQ. He might have just entered another level, especially after the Franklin fight, where it's like, okay, because your IQ it can slowly evolve. And then all of a sudden you see boxing differently, like, oh wow, okay, why wasn't I doing that before? Why was I fighting so recklessly? Why wasn't I thinking about this? Why wasn't I using my jab and my height and my reach? And to me, that's what it seemed like. And he did that against Franklin. I thought he put a decent performance in. I was really surprised when so many people were just shocked and really couldn't understand why he didn't get him out of there within 5 rounds. I was like, yeah, it's like, he's not, I did at a time when he came in heavy, I was thinking, maybe they're gonna, bum rush him a little bit. It threw me off a little bit, the weight, but I still thought it would go 12, and I still thought he would just, use his jab and go back to basics, which is what I've been saying. But, that fight probably did him wonders, to be honest with you, because now he's like, okay, I can stick to a game plan. I can use my height and reach. The fighting's always there. You don't want, see, fighters with a high skill level often have a high skill level, because once their skills are breached, they don't tend to have the fighting ability, real fighting ability. Not always, but this is just my experience from seeing fighters and just watching boxing. The guys with a real tough, good skill tend to have it for a reason, because they don't want it breached. And they're really skillful and for whatever other reason. But I think AJ really understands that there's obviously some mental flaws there, but I think he's been touched up a little bit more than we might realize. I think that was obviously always a speculation, but that is okay. That's boxing. It's going to happen. Fighters go through that. It's how you deal with it. How can you not let that happen as much? How can you not get taken to that place? The way to do that is to be smart. be intelligent in the ring and use your advantages, use your height and your reach and your jab and, you know, your footwork. You know, I've criticized AJ's footwork in the past, but that was against Usyk, and his footwork's all right, actually, to be honest with you. For a dude like that, he's actually pretty decent. But against Usyk, especially the first fight, it was horrendous. But that's Usyk, you know, constantly moving in and out, feinting, level changing, feint like that, pointing with the jab, moving his feet. AJ just couldn't deal with it, and it made his footwork, you know, highlighted it in an extreme fashion, and I really criticized it at the time. But I think this is still good news for AJ. I've been on the AJ's going to be all right bandwagon for a while. Will he be a world champion? Maybe. I don't know, but I think this is good. I really do. I see a mental, like, when I say change, just a maturity in his understanding. Even saying stuff like this is an admission to the understanding of IQ. Even if it's as basic as it is, this is how IQ is developed. And the fight with Franklin, where he did that, that's more development. And Derrick James will be developing the IQ. And if AJ gets a good IQ, he's going to be very dangerous. Because, you know, his attributes and his ability anyway. And, you know, he can go to the well. Well, he can. I know he did. Whether he can still, I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see. I wish him well. I really hope he was fighting in June or July. You know, obviously, might have seen the tournaments in the way. I don't know, but I wish him all the best of luck. You know, I really do. I think he's good for the sport, and you know, I think he could use one more fight before he starts thinking about jumping in with anybody bigger than that. Maybe two more, but you know, he can do what he wants, really. But yeah, that's it from me. Let me know your thoughts if you have any on AJ's comments, and that's it for now. I'll see you soon, man. Have a good week.
Boxing.
On the edge.